Hey guys, it's Jorge with Team of Miracles. I'm bringing you a Kozmo deck profile post Dimension of Chaos. Let's get into it. So starting off with the monsters, we got a 3 Farm Girl. It's a staple card, you need her. And next off we got 3 Wicked Witch. This card is so good. I don't know why she is a common. This card is absolutely broken. You can avoid destruction by card effect and battle by paying 1,000, and which is really good because you can gain 1,000 from Forerunner. So like it goes hand in hand, and then they each have their effects to banish themselves to summon a higher monster. So you just summon the ships. So for a low 5 ship Slip Rider, we play 2 Slip Riders because he's like an MST in the deck, and you don't really want to see him all the time because he's not that important. I mean, MST is pretty good, but you want to see the bigger ships. 2 Forerunner, because Forerunner is really good. It's a 2,800. It can't be targeted. You get 1,000 life points during your standby phase each time. And then when it dies, and float it, and you can special summon the Slip Rider, pop a card. It's just really good. I love how they float. This is a good deck. And it's a light and has synergy with Honest. We'll get to that later. 2 Dark Destroyer, because I cannot afford a third one. This card is expensive as fuck. I don't even know why this card. I mean, I know why it's expensive, but I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh has to be such an expensive card game. But yeah, Dark Destroyer, I would play 3 if you were able to afford 3, but I just cannot afford a third one at the moment. So for the 1-of monsters, I play 1 Dogfighter. Dogfighter is really good for generating tokens and then using the tokens to synchro with Valor. It's a good stall card for when you're in a mirror match. In the mirror match, if they crash your Forerunner with their Forerunner, you special summon this, and then you just keep generating tokens, and so that way they have to keep attacking through your tokens. And then level 6, so you use Valor, summon Valor, and then you can go into a bunch of your cards in your extra deck, like Ancient Fairy Dragon. So Ancient Fairy Dragon, pop your Kozmo Town effect. You can search for another one of your Kozmo monsters, and then you get the effect of Fairy Dragon to search for another Kozmo Town, which is really broken, and then you gain 1,000 life points. Strawman. Strawman's good, but I don't like seeing him all the time. I mean, you can recycle him back with Kozmo Town, but he really is just a good in the late game or even to mid game. But seeing him at the beginning of the game is not so great. He does really good push plays. 1 Honest, because I play a ton of lights in this deck, and Honest is honest. Honest is good. I mean, honestly, like this card is, even when Towers was a thing, like this was my out to Towers. So I mean, this card is still really good. But I used to play 2, but since I play Reasoning, I've milled Honest way too much off of Reasoning. Like it's probably like once every match I milled Honest off of a Reasoning. So I cut him down to 1, so that way I had a less chance of hitting him off of the Reasoning. So I'll play 2 Valor. Valor is extremely strong. It's not as good against Magic Specters since they can't be targeted, but even against Magic Specters, they have to go into the extra deck to get over this at all. They have a bad matchup if they cannot go into their Luster Pendulum, into Ignister, the Prominence, because his effect doesn't target, so they can send Destroyer and send Forerunner back to the deck. But if you have a Valor, you're all good. Just negate his effect. So that's it for the monsters. So for the spells, we got the best card in the deck, Kozmo Town. This card is absolutely broken. It allows you to add Kozmo monsters from your banish to your hand, and then it allows you to shuffle as many Kozmo monsters from your hand into the deck and then draw as many as you shuffled in. And then when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can go ahead and add any Kozmo card, including itself, from your deck to your hand, which is absolutely broken. Absolutely broken. So we got 3 E-Tellies. E-Telly is what gets you out Farm Girl in the clutch situation. So if you Dark Hole or Field, you summon a Wicked Witch, attack Wicked Witch. They're like, okay, I'll take it. Summon play the E-Telly, summon Farm Girl. farm girl attack, effect, add destroyer, special summon destroyer, attack. It's just absolutely bonkers. This card is so powerful in this deck, and there's actually been a leak that about Cosmos. They have a bunch of new support coming out, and I don't know how I feel about the support. Like it's kind of changed the deck and the way it's played, because they actually want the cards to go to the graveyard now. So, but two of the new revealed cards are lower than level 3 psychic types, which is really good. So it just makes E-Telly even a better card than it already is. And next up, I play 3 Reasoning. This card is so good in this deck because it's a free summon pretty much. There's so many different level monsters you play in this deck. I mean, even if you mill a Veiler off of their Reasoning, look at all these other monsters that you can summon and then synchro with. It's ridiculous. So we got level 1s, 4s, 2s, 6s, 8s, 7s, 5s, 4s, 3s. They're not going to call it right. If they call it out, you should give them a handshake or give them a cookie or something, because that was pure luck. 3 upstart, because I don't care if they get life points. I just want to see my cards. I want to see the pieces I need to my combos, because this deck is just meant to ram down your throat. It's going at 100 miles an hour. And speaking of 100 miles an hour, we just want to blow everything up so that way we can go 100 miles an hour. Get rid of the speed limit signs. We're just going to go all in. 2 Dark Hole, the Regeki. Destruction. I just want to clear my opponent's board. That's all I care about. These cards may not be very good against the Magic Spectre matchup, but like I said, they have to go into the extra deck to beat this deck. So if they're going to go into the extra deck, here's your board removal. It doesn't matter. So like, I like these cards. These cards are good. It allows you to push for game really fast. So Allure of Darkness because I play quite a few targets with Wicked Witch and Dark Destroyers, and it's really broken when you can draw you can draw off of Allure of Darkness. You have a Dark Destroyer already in hand. Maybe you draw the Wicked Witch, so summon the Wicked Witch, and then you banish Dark Destroyer for Allure of Darkness effect, Kozmo Town effect, add Dark Destroyer, attack with Wicked Witch effect, and then you go ahead and special summon a Dark Destroyer. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, the plays in this deck with Kozmo Town is just so broken, guys. I cannot explain how broken Kozmo Town is. And with this deck, I really don't want to, even though the ships aren't targeted, cannot be targeted, I still don't like back row, because Mirror Force, Storing Mirror Force, those are still cards, and then I want my farm girl to get off. That's when you will win. If you can get your farm girl off, that's your win condition. So you play the 1 MST, since you already play 2 Slip Riders. Slip Riders pops the back row, and I play 1 Galaxy Cyclone. Galaxy Cyclone is just because you can use it twice. It's really good. Also, like, if you have it in your graveyard, say you have a Kozmo Town on field and you already have a Kozmo Town in your hand, you can go ahead, banish your Galaxy Cyclone, target your own Kozmo Town effect. You can add any Kozmo monster or a Kozmo card from your deck to your hand that you need, and then go ahead and play your other Kozmo Town, and then you just plus so hard. So that's a good little combo for you guys. Play 1 Gold Sark, because Gold Sark really accelerates this deck when you have a Kozmo Town on the field. So you just Gold Sark whatever you need, and then Kozmo Town effect, add it to your hand, and it's plays. And the same thing, like if you had a Strawman, go ahead, like you can Gold Sark, summon the Strawman effect, and then go ahead and target whatever you have banished. Special summon it. It's probably gonna be your Dark Destroyer. Summon the Dark Destroyer, attack with it, and then maybe do 500 damage with Strawman. But end phase, Dark Destroyer dies, special summon Forerunner. It's really good. And then for the traps, play 1 Solemn Warning, because this card is absolutely necessary. It's a spell speed 3, shits on pendulums. When they pendulum summon 5 monsters at once, you go ahead and Solemn Warning all of the graveyard. They don't go to the extra deck, which is really good, because this deck cannot attack through 5 pendulum monsters and keep repeating itself. It needs to be doing damage. If you do not get damage going on a Magic Spectre or Performance decks, that is a really tough matchup. And Vanity's Emptiness, because that's good. It's a one of, both one ofs. And Stygian Dirge, this is my tech. Like, this is, people cite this card, but no, this is a good card to main. Stygian Dirge, it shits on every Pendulum deck. Because every Pendulum deck is a spam rank 4s, and even when if they want to go to Ignister, their Synchro, this reduces all their levels by 1. So how are they gonna, you know what I mean? They're not gonna be able to go into it so easily. They have to play around it. And then we have a Grand Horn of Heaven. This card is so good because it's a negation, it's a summon negation, and then it ends their main phase. I don't care if they get to draw a card. It ends their main phase. So you can activate in main phase 1 to send them straight to battle phase, and if they have nothing on their field, then they can't attack, so they just go to main phase 2. But if you activate this main phase 2, it ends their turn. They go to end phase, and they can't do anything. So this card is really good. So with this card here, Vanities, like, this is why I love this deck. With this deck, if you can get out this in combination, like, what is your opponent going to do? Unless they have, like, an MST and then somehow know how to get over a Dark Destroyer. This card is really big and cannot be targeted. But this combo right here is so good. They can't special summon, and then they can't target this. So, shake my hand. Good game. Yeah, like, come on. Now onto the extra deck. The extra deck's kind of irrelevant since you don't really need any of them, because Dark Destroyer in itself is such a boss monster. You don't really, I mean, Forerunner even too, I mean, even though he's only 2800, that's still a big monster and cannot be targeted. So, like, this deck is just full of boss monsters. So we got our tokens here for Dogfighter. So we play a Cowboy just in case you need extra damage. I mean, you really don't go into the extra deck a whole lot. Castel, 101, Abyss Dweller. This will probably be the biggest card that you'll make at any tournament, probably, because this deck really has a problem with decks that float, that don't let you get that damage off. So, like, for example, Yang Zings. This tech has a terrible matchup against Yang Zings. Absolutely horrific, because they just float. They float, they float. And if you destroy or pop one, they get to float. And then if they flip Yang Zing Creation, they just plus. So, like, you really need Abyss Dweller for those situations. I mean, you probably see, like, the random Burning Abyss decks at the regionals now that they got just wrecked by the ban list. Ptolemaeus, so that way you can go into Diamond. So, you know, those random Light Sworn, and I guess the Infernos are meta, I guess. So this is a good combo. Pallades, because you do play the Slip Riders, so you can go into Pallades. Pallades has always been good. And then we got a Volcasaurus here, so do damage. And then Yang Zing's missed timing because of the inflict damage part. So if you can get this off on a Yang Zing player, this is pretty good. And, you know, Gaia the Thunder Charger, just because damage and the overlay over Volcasaurus, it's pretty good. Same old, same old. So for the Synchros, Armades, this is your other out to Yang Zings and the floating decks, because this deck, like I said, this deck has a trouble with things that just keep on coming back. So this card is just meant to shut them down. Goyo Guardian, because you can. Black Rose. Ancient Fairy Dragon. Like I said, this card is absolutely retarded with Kozmo Town. So just, like I said, Ancient Fairy Dragon, pop the Kozmo Town, go ahead, search out your Dark Destroyer, whatever, and then add another Kozmo Town. Like, what? And then gain 1,000 life points. Kozmo Town effect. And then go ahead and shuffle in whatever do you want. Do whatever you will. This deck just has this deck has so much flexibility. Everybody thinks this deck is so linear. Just get out Dark Destroyer and win. there's a lot of plays that you can do with this deck to really push for game. And then one Michael, the Light Sworn Angel, because some cards cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so this card would be an out to those. So you can pay 1,000 and then go ahead and banish the target, and then paying 1,000 is not a big deal in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. And then you gain 1,000 from Forerunner if you have them on the field, so it really is not a big deal at all for this effect. So this deck is like not at all finished by any means. It's a good rough draft for because I have a regionals coming up here in December in Seattle, so I'm just preparing, getting it ready. But I wanted to bring you guys this deck profile because some of you might not know what to play in a Kozmo deck or how the combos work and what stuff is good to play. But if I did have to say anything to change about the deck, like since I don't have the money right now because cards are getting expensive, crazy expensive now, I would definitely cut the Black Rose Dragon. I would definitely cut the Goriel Guardian for 2 Chimera Tech Over Dragons because contact fusion. So in the mirror match, because you're gonna see, if you go to regionals, you're gonna see Cosmos. It's gonna happen. So you're gonna cut these for the 2 Chimera Techs. So that way you can just soak up their monsters, soak up their Dark Destroyer or Forerunner or whatever they have, and then it'll make it easier on you. And then you would side 2 Cyber Dragons. So onto the side deck. And this side deck is just all personal opinion. You can feel free to have your own opinion. Just like everybody else's side deck, that nobody's side deck is the same. Some people might have some same cards, but for the most part, it's all your own personal opinion. So I play one Denko Seka because it has a synergy with Honest. So if they try to attack over it, you have Honest, just get that out of here. And then this card absolutely destroys decks like Teller Knights and Senju. Anything that, this deck already has a terrible matchup against Senju because they can't get over Dark Destroyer. But just to put more salt in the wounds, and just summon this. Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna Tempest, like, the Magic Spectre Tempest. They're gonna negate it. What are they? That would be a plus for me. They just wasted their card, so that way I can E-Telly and then attack them and then summon a Dark Destroyer. Like, come on, this card is absolutely insane. One Good Witch, because Good Witch is good in the mirror match. So when they're trying to stall out with a Wicked Witch, you go ahead, summon it, and then go ahead and flip their Wicked Witch face down so they can't use their effect. So just attack, and then they don't get the effect to pay 1,000 and then not be destroyed. 2 Max C, because this you want to draw, and then every deck now is going to be like rank 4 spamming hardcore. So Max C is a really good card. 2 Defusion. This is my own personal hate because heroes are like always running amok at my locals, and I always run into heroes. I ran into heroes at my last YCS, and I do not like heroes. That Dark Law in tandem with Durandal play, Ptolemaeus Durandal play is a savage first turn opening. So Defusion is really good. Just send their monster back, and then they don't get nothing back, so it's really good. Spell Shadowing Arrow for the Pendulum decks. Yes, you could play Wavering Eyes. I prefer this over Wavering Eyes because I don't own Archfiend Eccentric. So if you own an Archfiend Eccentric, go ahead and throw in Wavering Eyes into your deck, and then go ahead and throw in an Archfiend Eccentric, because if you are Wavering Eyes, their Pendulum Scale, go ahead and search for your Archfiend Eccentric, and then your Archfiend Eccentric can pop you another card. It's like, it just gives you more searchability and more pluses. And then I just have more back row hate for back row heavy decks, MST and Galaxy Cyclone. The reason why I don't play 2 Galaxy Cyclone in the main is because some people have been deciding to main Empyrean Iron Wall, and Empyrean Iron Wall is real sad when you have a Galaxy Cyclone in the graveyard. And then 2 Malevolent Catastrophe. This is my absolute favorite card in my side deck. I used to play it in my main deck when I was playing artifacts in this deck. Um, Let me know if you would like to see that build, because that build was actually pretty fun. I actually had like a savage play against Yang Zings, and the Yang Zing player just absolutely was blown away because of how filthy my play was. And I told you, Yang Zings is a hard matchup. So he set 3 back row and set 1 monster, and then I forget what the monster was because I didn't get to see it because I just destroyed him right when it happened. So I played MST, get rid of 1 back row, was a bottomless. I played a Galaxy Cyclone, get rid of the Vanities, Emptiness, and then I played Ignition, the Artifact Ignition, to get rid of another card. I think it was Solemn Warning. And then I had an E-Telly in hand, and then I also had set a Scythe from the Artifact Ignition, and I had also a Slip Rider in hand. So I went E-Telly, Tribute the Slip Rider, and then I popped my own back row to special summon Scythe, and then Scythe overlay with Pallades, and then bounce this monster, and then it was pretty much a game for there. He had nothing that he could really rely on. But Malevolent Catastrophe just blows up all your back, because every deck plays back row. I don't care. Like, even if they don't play traps in particular, they still are going to set cards. I mean, Infernoid set their quick play Seers or whatever, their Infestation, you got Teller Knights, and then Magic Specters got a bunch of traps, and you know, they got their Tornado and their negation, their summoning negation. Second Grand Horde of Heaven for the Pendulum decks, like I said, this card is really good. And then for those non-Magic Spectre decks that can be destroyed and stuff, we got a Blazing Mirror Force, because this card is really good. It just blows up all their cards, all their face attack position monsters, and then you inflict damage, which is really good for Cosmos, because if you inflict damage to them first, then it's pretty much game from there, because you're probably going to be pushing for a lot of damage, and then this just helps aid your win. A regular Mirror Force, and then 1 Time Space Trap Hole. Time Space Trap Hole is just really good in general. So it's good in the mirror match, because if they use their effect of Cosmo Good Witch or Wicked Witch or